Many were quick to jump the gun and accuse the Pope of being political in his meeting with Kim Davis last week, but now we have new facts and an update because the Vatican came forward and said, wait a minute, this meeting that the Pope had with Kim Davis is not in any way, shape, or form a sign of support for what she's doing, Nick. He came forward and said the only official audience that he gave out, it was to one of his longtime friends, a former student of his, Yayo Grassi, an Argentinian, that is actually openly gay. And he came to this meeting with his lifelong partner, and the Pope received them and spent a good amount of time with them and a group of friends. And, you know, Yayo Grassi came forward and said, like, I've been friends with the Pope for 50 years. He knows that I'm gay for most of that time. Yeah. And he's always been very welcoming to me. Now, what we know is that the lawyer of Kim Davis actually did a very sneaky trick of announcing this meeting in a different light of what it actually was. The meeting that Kim Davis was part of, it was a group of people that met the Pope. It was not Kim Davis in a private audience like they tried the public to assume. It was open to, it was about a dozen people that were chosen by the U.S. representation of the Vatican. And the Pope was not very clear of what the domestic political implications of meeting Kim Davis was. And in the process of learning it, that was the reason they delayed confirming the meeting, and now they're coming out and saying, we are not supporting Kim Davis in any way, shape, or form. Don't make this political, because many felt a little, you know, that it was a little bit hypocritical of the Pope to come here and press this agenda, very progressive agenda on income inequality, on global warming, on immigration, and then kind of sneakily meet with Kim Davis. Now we know the truth, and the only sneaky one was the lawyer that tried to push this information in the wrong light. Right.
Well, first off, I wasn't terribly surprised when we had first found out, when we actually thought that Kim Davis had this meeting, because you're right, the lawyers kind of came out and made it seem like the Pope came to this specific place to have a specific meeting with this woman because she's done so many great things for the world. Clearly not the case. The lawyer is completely lying. Not surprising. But I wasn't surprised to see the Pope go and meet with Kim Davis, because he's always said, while being very progressive, while being very liberal as far as popes go, he's always been, you know, he's always had the same sentiment as far as traditional marriage, and he believes that it's under threat. And he said that in his speech at the White House when he arrived.
Yes, but at the same time, one of his very first statements was, who I am to judge.
Who am I to judge?
Who am I to judge? So, and the proof is that he has friends that are openly gay, and that this is not the first time they met. Actually, his friend went to the Vatican and met with him. They met in Argentina. He was his student in high school, so they know each other for a long, long time. So now we know a little of the personal insights of the Pope when he comes out and says those statements. And it's sad to see that these religious rights organizations are trying to push a person that is not even Catholic and distort the situation and use the figure of someone as important as the Pope to push a political agenda. I think that's bullshit. I think that's the lowest of the low, manipulating the public opinion in order to fight a lost cause. That is the craziest of all, is that they don't really have anything to win other than losing their credibility like this.
Yeah, and you know, it's so silly. Look, all these people that become martyrs in the eyes of these conservatives in the U.S., the Kim Davises, always turn out to not be who we thought they were, right? Look at George Zimmerman. He went on to have a horrible track record with domestic violence, with the other incidents involving guns. He turned out to be a total dick if they weren't smart enough to realize beforehand, before the whole Trayvon Martin shooting. But then look at Josh Duggar, for example. Again, conservatives loved him, you know? They were all about it, and then it comes out that he's doing all sorts of freaky shit. So it's like, is it really surprising that this
No, it's not surprising.
They're lying, and then that she's been divorced this many times, and all these things have come out to shed her in a different light, right?
What is surprising is that there's people out there that are still believing this bullshit. Yeah. That they still go and figure that because a lawyer comes up on a video with a slogan behind and says the Pope did this and did the other and said that and grab her hands and say, go ahead and you're a very courageous person. And they believe it and they buy it. Now we have the information, but we want to know your opinion on this sneaky lawyer trying to shift the whole thing, change it up and say the Pope is with Kim Davis, when the reality is that the Pope said we do not support Kim Davis. It was an encounter that was not planned by the Pope, and the actual official audience that the Pope granted was for an openly gay couple, and that has a lot to say. Let us know in the comments your opinion, and if you haven't, please subscribe to the Lib TV 2.